Good morning, team. Happy Tuesday. Um, Yesterday, we started with adding integers, which should have proved to be okay. Adding integers never is too bad when you're first learning it. Now, subtracting integers is much more difficult. Subtracting integers has these weird kind of concepts to them that might take you a minute to understand. But let's jump right into it. Okay. The first example we're going to do today is 6 minus 9. Now, when you're younger, and this is really unfortunate that they tell you this when you're little kids, is they tell you you can't do 6 minus 9. Well, in terms of tangible objects, you can't do 6 minus 9. For example, here's 6 fingers, put down 9 of them. You can't, because you only have 6 there. But in terms of numbers, integers specifically, where we can go into the negatives, you can do 6 minus 9. It'll just take you down to a negative number. So the first thing I want to show you, um, and the number lines are great for these types of problems. If you have one, please print it off. Just one right here I have from negative 10 to positive 10. Works great with small numbers. But if we had the problem 6 minus 9, and I had to try to figure that out, what I would do is I would start at 6, because that's the number I'm starting with. We're over here on my number line. And subtracting 9 would just take me back 9, just like any subtraction problem. You move backwards on the number line, right? So we're going to go back 9. We're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we find out that 6 minus 9 is negative 3. Now, a huge problem that I would have a lot of kids tell me is that 6 minus 9 is 3, because they automatically rearrange the numbers in their head to do 9 minus 6, because that's a comprehensible thing that they've done many times. But this is not. This is 6 minus 9, which will take you down to the negatives to negative 3. That's the first way to subtract integers. Okay, and we can do that with these other ones. We're going to get to those in a second. The next type of problem I'm going to look at here, or the next way to do this, is same problem. We're going to have 6 minus 9. And since we practiced a lot yesterday with adding integers and what that means to do, hey, come here, Nika. What's the problem, girl? You need to relax. I'm trying to teach a lesson here. So, we can change this to an addition problem. Like I said yesterday, that subtracting an integer was the same as adding its negative. I'll show you. 6 minus 9 can be written as 6 plus a negative 9. Take a look at those two things for a second. Yesterday we were doing problems like this, a bunch of them. 6 plus a negative 9. And I told you that adding a negative really meant to take it away. It's the same thing. 6 plus a negative 9 is the same as 6 minus 9. You're not changing what's happening in the problem, you're just changing how it looks. So if this helps you, which it's in the book and taught to kids because a lot of kids like this to learn this way, you can rewrite subtraction problems as addition problems, just adding a negative. And you can look to yourself and think like we did yesterday with the good guys, bad guys, and be like, okay, there's 6 good guys and there's 9 bad guys. Well, the bad guys win. By how many do the bad guys win? They win by 3. So the answer would be negative 3. And that's another way that you can handle these subtraction problems with these negatives. Now they get a little bit more difficult. On your reteach page here, we do have a problem here. Example number 2 is negative 10 minus negative 12. Now this one looks a little crazy. We're going to take a little time on this one. Negative 10 minus a negative 12. There's a couple things going on in this one. First of all, you're starting at negative 10. Okay, so we're already down in the negatives. And then it tells us to subtract a negative 12. Now, I know I've talked to you guys about this year, and I hope you remember this. We have talked about double negatives this year and what double negatives mean. If I were to say something along the lines of, I don't not want to go outside, what does that really mean I want to do? It really means I want to go outside. Why? Because a double negative means a positive. So what do we really mean when we say subtract a negative 12? Just like if I were to say I don't not want to go outside, it means I really do want to go outside. What does minus the negative 12 mean? It does not mean subtract 12. it means to add 12. Minus a negative 12 really means to add 12. If I were to tell you to take a negative away from your bank account, it would really mean to add to it. Minus a negative is a double negative. And not only does that work in mathematics, but it works in language, right? Everything that we do as humans, two negatives make a positive. So if I were to say negative 10 minus a negative 12, it really means negative 10 plus 12. You really have to keep your eye out for those double negatives. So now that we've taken this problem and we've squared it down to something a little bit more manageable, right? We've gotten rid of a bunch of this fodder up here, like all this junk up around here, and we made it a lot easier to see. We have negative 10 plus 12. All you have to do is go to your number line, start off at negative 10, and then add 12 to it. And just like adding any number on a number line, you move to the right when adding. So move to the right 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if you thought the answer was 2, you are correct. The answer is 2. Now, the other way to have done that would have been along the lines of, since we did turn this into an addition problem, you could do the whole good guy, bad guy thing. You have 10 bad guys and 12 good guys. Who wins that fight? The good guys win that fight. By how many? 2. There's your answer. That only works if it's an addition problem, but you can turn subtraction problems into addition problems. That's a great problem right there. Let's take a look at a couple more down through these reteach ones. I'm going to put both of these pages up. I've got a reteach page here and a bunch of other practice problems. They're quick, they're easy, they're great practice, guys. Let's go down through a couple of these real fast and have you guys try them. So I'm going to have you pause the video. I'm going to pick a few here, and I just want you to try them out. So I want you guys to try number 1, number 3, 5, 7, and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 problems there. I want you to do 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. The first one's 7 minus 9. The next one, negative 10 minus 4. Negative 7 minus 8. Negative 20 minus negative 5. And 25 minus negative 14. I want you to try those 5 problems. Pause the video. Do them. Start it back up. And watch me solve them. See if you got them right. And if you got questions, you know where to find me. Welcome back. Hopefully you did them. Let's go through these really quick. 7 minus 9. If I'm going to use a number line here, I could just do 7 and then subtract 9. I know it's going to go in the negatives because 9 doesn't subtract from 7. So it's going to take us into the negative. So 7 minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Take me down to negative 2 for number 1. Negative 2 for number 1. Number 3, negative 10 minus 4. Okay. So we've got a negative 10, and it tells us to subtract 4 more. This is okay to do this as long as I know that I'm moving to the left on the number line, because negative 10 minus 4 would mean I'm going to go 4 more this way. Now, my number line doesn't go there, but I should know that if I'm at negative 10 and I go backwards 4 more, that should take me to negative 14. Negative 10 minus 4 more, negative 14. And another good way to think about that, think about money. If you got negative 10 bucks in the bank account and they let you spend 4 more dollars, how much do you owe the bank? You owe them 14 bucks. Number 5, negative 7 minus 8. Another example just like that problem we just did. Negative 7, you spend 8 more. Where are you going? Further in debt. That way. And so since you're subtracting another number, it's going to take you down to negative 15. Because 8 and 7 make negative 15. Negative 8 and negative 7 make negative 15. Now, some people were asking over the years, and I got this a lot, Mr. Johnson, isn't this a double negative? Because you have negative 7 and negative 8. No, that's not what a double negative means. A double negative is when you have two negative symbols right next to each other. Looks like two negative signs right next to each other, maybe split by a parenthesis, but no, there can't be a number in between them. A double negative is like what we did on our problem up here, where you have a negative sign and a negative sign. It's a negative, negative 12. If you ever say negative, negative, that's a double negative. Nothing else is a double negative. So if we look down here at number 7, the next problem we're going to do, we have negative 20, but then we have minus a negative, right? Minus, negative. That right there is a double negative. Just because you have two minus signs in a problem does not mean that that's double negative. This right here is. Okay. So let's head down here to number 7. We have negative 20 minus negative 5. I'm going to rewrite this problem. Negative 20 minus a negative 5 really means negative 20 plus 5, because a double negative means to add. So if we have negative 20 plus 5, I think to myself, okay, I can either go with the whole number line idea, right? If I'm down at negative 20 and I say to add 5, that's going to move me closer to 0. Now, my number line doesn't go all the way down there, but if I was down at negative 20 and I had to add 5, I'd move this way, which would bring me to negative 15. Or I could think to myself, the whole good guy, bad guy thing, I got 20 bad guys and 5 good guys. Well, who wins that fight? Obviously, the bad guys win the fight, but by how many? 15. So the answer would be a negative 15 for number 7. And then finally, the last one we're going to do together today, number 9, 25 minus a negative 14. Another example of that double negative there. So we've got 25 minus negative 14. What does minus a negative really mean to do? It means to add a positive. So 25 plus 14, 39. The answer to this one, 39. Guys, these do take some thought. They can get a little frustrating when learning them. But I promise you, I'm not going to try to overwhelm you. I'm just trying to expose you to this stuff. We're only going to be taking a quiz over this. This is really good practice. Try these. And if you want more of the answers to these, please come to my office hours and ask me. I'll be more than willing to help you through them. But that's going to be it for today. I'm going to throw a bunch of these up on the Google Forms. Get them done for me.